So welcome in everybody. Just wanted to show you basically how to write a patient letter, how to use the letters hub here in ECW. So there's a couple, from a progress note you have a letters link right here, and it used to be on the hub, but it doesn't appear that there is a letters. Nope, it's right here on the left hand side. So you can get there from the hub. So those of you who are just listening in, it's the left hand column on your hub under new appointment. There's a letters, takes you to the same letters module in ECW. So there's, so again, you just go ahead and click letters and it will take you to this screen right here. And then this screen right here, you have, it puts in, it's not the most intuitive thing, which is why I wanted to kind of show people a little bit about the way that I use it and discuss best practices. So from here, you can actually choose a different letter template. So by clicking on this ellipsis right here, it opens up all the different letter templates that we have. There is a general letter by clinic, which has the clinic's address on it, which is, so if you choose that and then you click OK, then you click run letter. And so to run letter for this particular patient, it generates it into, actually if you want to track it, and you want to say yes because that gives you, it saves it in the patient documents. So you can click your clinic and click general letter, and then it pulls up, it puts on a CHC logo, and it has dear the patient with the patient's address and their medical record number, and then it has your name as a sincerely with your clinic address at the bottom. And then, so then you want to do edit right here. So if you click edit, then you're able to click in and type within the Word document itself. So then I can write whatever I want to write. And this is specifically addressed to patients, and so this isn't kind of one that you would want to use for something you're writing to an employer or to a specialist or something along those lines. So again, as I mentioned previously, you know, most hopefully we're communicating not necessarily through these letters and snail mail, but we're actually using the patient portal and SMS text messaging for certain types of communications. But this is one option if a patient requests kind of a more formal letter. You can write it this way, addressed to the patient is using that particular template. So I can write whatever else I want to write. And then I click save, and then that saves into the patient's documents. And you've got a letter within their patient documents, and you can also print it from here. Click right there on click print, and then you can hand it to the patient, put a wet signature on it if that's needed. The other, outside of that letter which addresses to the patient, the other letter that I use, so that's, you'll see there's a 72nd, you can do a search for star SDR, and you get the SDR general letter in English or Spanish. We've created a lot of letters, templates. The one I actually like to use the most is just called blank physician's order, which is if you click to scroll to it.
Chris, is there a way to get Spanish accenting available within that letter creation?
Great question. I believe once you're in, the way the letter gets generated is it actually uses Word. And so within Word, you can use Spanish accenting, and it doesn't give you the error message like it does in ECW whenever there's a Spanish accent, or whenever there's an accent or anything that doesn't look like a normal letter. ECW gives you some message and you have to approve it. Once you're in Word, I think you're outside of the ECW realm, and it doesn't get tripped up by that. So I chose physician's order form, and that generates a very generic looking letter. You want to say yes to tracking it. And this one puts the name of the patient, puts your clinic name and address at the top, your name right here. And then it has procedure and diagnosis. I think this is a basic, and so I usually just kind of highlight here, right here, and click over it, and then just start my letter to whom it may concern, or whoever you're addressing it to. But this is kind of the, if you wanted to write a letter about whatever it may be to their employer about their ability, their disability, whatever it may be, you can write that all right here, and then you can print it and then wet signature sign it, and then you click save, and then it saves it into patient documents. Then I could do print, and I can print it and put a wet signature on it. So this is a more generic type approach. So I guess the best approach at this point would be use the star CHC and then the name of your clinic general letter if you're writing something addressed to the patient. The other thing is to use the blank physician's order for kind of just generalized things.
That is very unintuitive in terms of the name of a letter.
Yeah.
I don't suppose there's a way to change that one.
Yeah.
That's totally unintuitive as a name.
Yeah, and we probably need to spend some time building a kind of that same sort of looking letter, but take out those pieces and name it something different. Yeah, no, I agree. I've just always used that as my current workflow, but probably need to set aside some time to build a more generalized letter template that's not addressed to the patient. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that on an agenda right now to do that, and then we can send that out. Certainly, no, that's good. I probably just would
name it something. Name it something intuitive. Hopefully.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, even if you could even keep the same one if you wanted to, just rename it so that it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you know what you're looking for.
Agreed. Yeah, probably something I can figure out as soon as we shut this off. I can maybe make something really simple and roll that out as part of this training as well. So,
thank you.
Good thoughts. Yeah. Those are just basically basic letters. The other one I was going to show everybody, and mostly my MAs are really savvy at doing this now, is on the right here on a progress note. This is the only place to get to it. Next to ink, if you hit the green arrow, there's something called specialty forms. And these specialty forms are, you can see there's different types of specialty forms. This would be an entire training we should probably go over at some point, as reviewing all the specialty forms. But under ortho, not terribly intuitive, there's one called return to school, which to me is the quickest and fastest note to give somebody for work. That saves it within the EMR. And so from here, I can, patient was seen in our office today, released to work or school. And then you have it, whatever date you want them to return, and then you can write any free text, any other further clarifying details here. And one thing to be aware of on this is that it actually puts their diagnosis of the visit today on that from that progress note. You can delete that if you don't want that diagnosis to be seen. If you do, great. Depending on how detailed you feel like you need to get. And then you can just click on no restrictions if they're just back to better, or you can type further instructions right there. That's just a way to free text it and make that a little bit more, and then it's something that saves in the record. Instead of using the paper note which we used to give, this saves it within the record and may have some medical legal implications by so doing. So I think it's good to have that in their chart. Otherwise, if you use the paper return to work letter, the old one that I think are still floating around many workstations, ideally you should scan that in and make that a part of the patient record within patient documents. This one just saves it automatically. So those are just kind of 2 or 3 letter approaches I wanted to show everybody, and there's probably a lot of innovation and improvement to be done in this area. Any other further thoughts? I'm going to go ahead and end the training right there at those basics on letters.